I am a 30-year-old software engineer, working remotely from Colorado. Life was going exactly as planned, until my world shattered. The twins, Emma and Jack, were only 3, when Allison, my wife of 4 years, announced she needed to find real love. She packed her bags, kissed our babies goodbye during their afternoon nap, and walked out to start a new life with Garrett, her wealthy boyfriend. 6 months later, my phone buzzed with her text demanding $6,000 for summer camp. Not for our children, but for her new husband's kids. That was when something inside me snapped. Before I tell you how I finally stood up for myself and my children, drop a comment telling me where you are watching from, and hit that like and subscribe button. I first met Allison at my college roommate's wedding 5 years ago. She was a bridesmaid, tall, confident, with a laugh that filled the room. Our eyes locked across the dance floor, and by midnight we were sitting on the venue's back porch, trading life stories until the stars faded. Her ambition matched her beauty. As a marketing executive for a national retail chain, she traveled frequently, but always made time for us. 8 months of dating flew by before I proposed during a sunset hike in the mountains. She cried happy tears, jumping into my arms with an immediate yes. We planned a small ceremony at a rustic mountain lodge with only 50 guests. Her father walked her down the aisle as I fought back tears. The way she looked at me that day made me believe in forever. Our first home was a modest 3-bedroom ranch house with a large backyard where we planned to watch our future children play. Weekends were filled with hiking trails, discovering local breweries, and planning our future together. Those early days felt perfect, building furniture, painting walls, and creating our sanctuary. Allison quickly rose through the ranks at her company, while I worked steadily as a software engineer for a healthcare startup. We were financially comfortable and emotionally connected. Every evening we would share our day over home-cooked meals, planning our next adventure. After 2 years of marriage, we mutually decided it was time to start our family. The journey to parenthood proved more challenging than we anticipated. Month after month of disappointment led us to fertility specialists. The emotional toll was heavy. Allison crying after each negative test, me trying to remain optimistic while managing my own heartbreak. We invested thousands of dollars in treatments, each one offering new hope, only to end in disappointment. Then one morning, Allison burst into my home office waving a positive pregnancy test. We embraced, both crying tears of joy. At our first ultrasound appointment, the technician smiled and said, "Congratulations. There are 2 heartbeats. Twins." We were having twins. The room spun with overwhelming happiness. The pregnancy transformed our lives. I painted the nursery a calming sage green, while Allison meticulously researched the safest cribs and car seats. We attended every class available: childbirth preparation, infant CPR, breastfeeding basics. Our evenings were spent reading parenting books aloud to each other and playing classical music near her growing belly. Emma and Jack arrived 3 weeks early after a complicated 26-hour labor. Holding those tiny beings against my chest ignited feelings I never knew existed. Allison was incredible throughout the delivery. Strong, determined, and focused, despite the exhaustion and pain. The nurses commented they had never seen such a natural mother, the way she immediately knew how to comfort them. I took 8 weeks of paternity leave to support our new family. Those early days blurred together in a haze of midnight feedings, diaper changes, and stolen moments of sleep. Allison mastered the art of nursing 2 babies simultaneously, while I became expert at swaddling and soothing their cries. We created systems, tag-teaming through each day with military precision. Our family of 4 settled into new routines. Weekend hikes became neighborhood stroller walks. Date nights transformed into taking shifts so each of us could shower uninterrupted. The exhaustion was real, but watching the twins discover the world brought indescribable joy. At 6 months, I returned to work, while Allison extended her maternity leave to 9 months. Looking back, I can pinpoint when things began to change. Around the time the twins turned 10 months old, Allison started spending more time on her phone. She would walk into another room to take calls, her laughter different than what I was used to hearing. When I asked about it, she quickly explained. It was work colleagues planning her return. I believed her, because I wanted to. The twins' first birthday arrived with an elaborate party. Allison insisted on hosting. She spent weeks planning every detail. Custom cake, professional photographer, personalized favors for each guest. Yet during the celebration, she seemed disconnected, checking her phone constantly and disappearing for stretches of time. Our friends noticed, asking if everything was okay. But I made excuses about work pressure. That evening, after the guests left, I found myself cleaning up alone while Allison claimed exhaustion and went to bed early. The pattern continued and intensified. Family dinners became rare as her late meetings grew more frequent. Bedtime stories with the twins, once our special family ritual, became my sole responsibility. When I expressed concern, she blamed the challenges of returning to work after maternity leave. 3 months after returning to her job, Allison announced she had joined an exclusive downtown fitness club. Suddenly, her appearance began changing rapidly. New hairstyle, different makeup, a complete wardrobe overhaul featuring designer labels I knew we could not comfortably afford. The credit card bills reflected these changes, along with meal charges at restaurants I had never heard of, always during lunch hours. The twins reached milestone after milestone. First steps, first words, first tantrums, with Allison increasingly absent. When she was home, her attention remained fixed on her phone, smiling at messages from work colleagues. The disconnect grew until we were essentially roommates, sharing childcare responsibilities on an uneven schedule. One Tuesday evening, after putting Emma and Jack to bed, I discovered an unfamiliar credit card statement in our mail. The charges told a story that made my stomach drop. Hotel rooms in town, expensive jewelry purchases, couples spa treatments, all on dates Allison had claimed to be working late. The evidence was undeniable. I confronted her when she arrived home that night, statement in hand, voice shaking with emotion. The woman who had promised to love me forever looked at me with cold, unfamiliar eyes and simply said, "I guess we need to talk. No denial, no excuses." Just resigned. Acknowledgement that her secret had been discovered. Allison admitted to a 6-month affair with Garrett, a wealthy divorcé she had met at a marketing conference. She described him as passionate and exciting, everything she claimed our relationship had lost. Her words cut deeper than any physical wound could have. "I settled when I married you, Eli. I thought you would be enough. But I deserve real love. Garrett gives me that." The cruelest revelation came next. She explained how Garrett owned a lakeside mansion, traveled internationally monthly, and had 3 children from his previous marriage who attended prestigious private schools. She described the lifestyle he offered as something I could never provide. When I asked about our children, her response haunted me. "They are so young. They will adjust." 2 days later, while the twins napped, Allison packed 4 suitcases. She kissed our sleeping children, handed me a hastily written visitation schedule, and walked out our front door. The woman who had once cried joyful tears at the sight of our babies was leaving them behind to pursue real love with a man she had known less than a year. The first night alone with the twins was the hardest. They called for Mama during their bedtime routine, their little faces confused by her absence. I slept on the floor between their cribs, reaching up to hold their hands when they cried out in the darkness. By morning, my eyes were swollen from tears, shed in silent moments between caring for them. The following weeks passed in a blur of emotions and logistics. I arranged emergency family leave to establish new routines and find reliable childcare. My parents flew in from Arizona to help during the transition, their support unwavering despite their own heartbreak and anger at Allison's abandonment. Friends from our neighborhood brought meals and offered playdates to give me moments to breathe. Seeking professional help became essential. I found a therapist specializing in divorce and parental abandonment. Those weekly sessions became my lifeline, providing tools to process my grief while supporting the twins through theirs. Emma became clingy, while Jack grew increasingly frustrated and prone to tantrums. Each reaction was normal, my therapist assured me, but painful to witness. Through mutual friends, I learned more about Garrett. 52 years old, 20 years. Allison's senior, he had divorced his previous wife after a similar affair. His 3 children, ages 7, 9, and 11, spent weekends at his home per their custody arrangement. Allison had moved directly into his 5-bedroom lakeside property, immediately assuming the role of stepmother to children she had never mentioned meeting. Our communication became strictly about the twins. Allison would video call twice weekly to chat with them. Though at 2 years old, these conversations rarely lasted more than 5 minutes. She exercised her visitation rights sporadically, sometimes canceling last minute due to important events with Garrett and his children. Each cancellation required extensive explanation to confuse toddlers who could not understand why mommy kept disappearing. I joined a support group for single parents, where I met others navigating similar situations. Their stories and solidarity helped me recognize I was not alone in this struggle. Through their encouragement, I began establishing boundaries with Allison, insisting on consistent visitation schedules and clear communication timelines. Slowly, I reclaimed my confidence as both a person and parent. The twins and I developed new traditions and routines. Saturday mornings became pancake breakfasts with fruit faces. Sunday afternoons featured neighborhood park adventures. We found stability and consistency, their little personalities flourishing despite the significant change. Emma developed a passion for building block towers, while Jack discovered an unexpected love for helping me water our small garden. 6 months passed, and we settled into our new normal. I received a promotion that allowed more flexible working hours, perfect for balancing remote work with parenting responsibilities. The twins were thriving in preschool 3 mornings a week, making friends and developing independence. Their vocabulary exploded, along with their curiosity about everything from dinosaurs to outer space. Allison and I had established a relatively drama-free co-parenting rhythm. She took the twins every other weekend, bringing them back Sunday evenings, with reports of swimming in Garrett's heated indoor pool or boat rides on the lake. They returned excited about these adventures, but equally happy to be home in their familiar beds. I made peace with this arrangement, focusing on their happiness rather than my lingering hurt. The unexpected text arrived on a regular Tuesday morning. Need to discuss summer plans for the kids. Call me when you can. Assuming she wanted to arrange vacation schedules for the twins, I called during my lunch break. The conversation took a turn I never anticipated. Garrett's children are attending Mountain Adventures summer camp. Allison began without preamble. 8 weeks of outdoor activities, sports, and educational programming. The boys are excited, and his daughter will be a junior counselor. I congratulated her, unsure why this required a special call. The tuition is $18,000 for all 3 children, she continued. Garrett and I think it would be fair if you contributed $6,000 toward the cost. Her tone was casual, as if requesting I pick up milk on my way home, rather than asking for thousands of dollars for someone else's children. The shock rendered me momentarily speechless. When I found my voice, I asked for clarification. You want me to pay for summer camp for Garrett's children, not for Emma and Jack? The request was so absurd, I wondered if I had misunderstood. Emma and Jack are too young for this camp, she explained with noticeable impatience. But we are a blended family now, and these are their step-siblings. It is important they all have the same opportunities. $6,000 is a reasonable contribution from you. I refused immediately. Allison, I am not financially responsible for Garrett's children. My responsibility is to Emma and Jack. Her response revealed how dramatically her perspective had shifted since leaving our marriage. You are being deliberately difficult, she snapped. These children are part of the twins' lives now. If you cared about Emma and Jack having a good relationship with their step-siblings, you would contribute. The manipulation was transparent and infuriating. The conversation escalated when she implied my refusal might impact her willingness to maintain our current visitation schedule. Things could get complicated. If you force me to cover your portion, she threatened. I might need to pick up extra work hours on the weekends when I would normally take the twins. After ending the call, I immediately contacted a family lawyer. The attorney listened to my account with raised eyebrows, then assured me Allison had no legal ground for her demand. More concerning was her implicit threat regarding visitation, which we documented carefully. The lawyer suggested I communicate only in writing moving forward, to create a record of all interactions. Over the next 2 weeks, Allison's tactics intensified. Text messages arrived daily, alternating between guilt trips about family unity and veiled threats about reducing her time with the twins. She enlisted mutual friends to pressure me, spinning a narrative that I was being unreasonable and hindering the children's new family bonds. Most friends saw through the manipulation, but a few questioned whether I should compromise for the sake of the children. The situation crossed into alarming territory when Allison showed up unannounced at my workplace. Standing in the lobby, she demanded we resolve this issue immediately. Security escorted her out after she refused to leave an incident witnessed by several colleagues. That evening, she left tearful voicemails, claiming I had humiliated her intentionally. The final straw came when I received an alert from my bank about suspicious activity. Attempting to log into my accounts, I discovered my passwords had been changed. After an emergency call to the bank's fraud department, I learned someone had attempted to wire $6,000 from my savings account. The IP address matched Allison's neighborhood. Further investigation revealed something even more disturbing. Allison had opened 2 credit cards in my name using our previous joint information and her knowledge of my personal data. One card already showed charges of $4,000 to Mountain Adventures Camp. The fraud department froze the accounts immediately and launched an investigation. With comprehensive documentation of financial fraud, harassment, and manipulation, my lawyer advised filing for an emergency custody hearing and financial protection order. The paperwork was submitted the following day, along with a petition for supervised visitation, until a full evaluation could be completed. After years of making excuses for Allison's behavior, I was finally taking decisive action to protect myself and our children. The court date arrived 3 weeks later. Stepping into the courtroom, my heart pounded painfully against my ribs. My lawyer squeezed my shoulder reassuringly as we took our seats. Across the aisle, Allison sat beside her attorney, her expression cycling between confidence and worry. Behind her sat Garrett, his expensive suit and dismissive posture radiating entitlement. Our case was called, and the proceedings began with my lawyer presenting the timeline of events, from Allison's departure to the recent financial fraud attempt. Evidence included text messages, bank statements, security footage from my workplace, and credit inquiries in my name. Without consent, the judge reviewed each document carefully, her expression growing increasingly concerned. When the judge asked about the summer camp that had triggered this situation, my lawyer explained that Allison was demanding payment for her boyfriend's children's activities, not for our shared children. The judge removed her glasses, staring directly at Allison with visible disapproval. You abandoned your biological children to live with another man, then attempted to defraud their father to benefit children with whom he has no legal or biological connection. Allison's testimony began confidently, but quickly unraveled. Under questioning, she claimed I had verbally agreed to support our blended family, an assertion contradicted by our text exchanges. When pressed about the credit card fraud, she alternated between denial and justification, suggesting she had implied permission to use my information for family expenses. Garrett took the stand next, his testimony proving unexpectedly damaging to their case. He referred to the twins as Allison's previous children and admitted knowing about the fraudulent credit cards. When asked about his own financial contributions to Emma and Jack, He responded dismissively that he allowed them into his home during visits, as if providing basic shelter to toddlers was a notable generosity. The judge's ruling came swiftly and decisively. I was granted full legal custody, with Allison receiving supervised visitation until she completed parenting classes and financial responsibility counseling. She was ordered to pay child support based on her income, plus additional funds for therapy services for the twins. The financial protection order prohibited her from attempting any transactions in my name, with violations resulting in criminal charges. As the judge delivered her decision, Allison's composure crumbled completely. She began sobbing, looking between me and Garrett with panic in her eyes. Garrett, however, was already standing to leave his attorney, whispering urgently in his ear. The contrast between his hasty retreat and her breaking emotion told its own story about the foundation of their relationship. In the courthouse hallway afterward, Allison approached me tearfully. "Please, Eli, we need to talk. This is all a misunderstanding." My lawyer stepped between us, reminding her all communication needed to go through proper channels. Garrett was nowhere to be seen, having apparently left immediately after the ruling. The weeks following the court decision brought unexpected developments. Late-night calls began coming from an unknown number. Allison crying, explaining that Garrett had ended their relationship when faced with the reality of financial responsibility for her children. He had, according to her broken confessions, expected her to handle the situation without involving him. When the court ordered her to pay child support, he decided she had become financially complicated. Her messages grew increasingly desperate, begging to come home and rebuild our family. She promised to be a better mother, to appreciate what we had built together, to make amends for her terrible choices. The woman who had walked away from her babies without looking back was now pleading for another chance at the life she had discarded. While part of me felt vindicated, another part simply felt sad for the pain our entire family had endured. I maintained firm boundaries, insisting we follow the court's guidelines for supervised visitation and communication through official channels. The focus remained where it belonged, on creating stability and security for Emma and Jack. Forgiveness came slowly, not for Allison's sake, but for my own healing. Carrying anger only weighed me down when I needed strength for our children. Through continued therapy, I processed the complex emotions of betrayal, grief, and eventually acceptance. The experience had transformed me, forcing growth through pain, teaching resilience through challenge. The twins continued to flourish. At 3.5, they were curious, affectionate, and surprisingly resilient. Emma's vocabulary expanded daily, her observations about the world increasingly astute. Jack's natural athletic ability emerged as he conquered playground equipment with fearless determination. Their bond as twins provided additional security, the two of them creating their own special language and comfort system. 6 months after the court ruling, I met Rachel at a parent support group for families in transition. As a kindergarten teacher, she brought gentle insight into children's emotional needs during difficult times. Our friendship developed organically through playdates with her 5-year-old daughter Sophia, who adored the twins. Romantic feelings evolved, gradually built on mutual respect and genuine care for each other's children. Unlike the whirlwind romance with Allison, my relationship with Rachel progressed thoughtfully. We discussed parenting philosophies, future goals, and healing from past hurts before introducing romantic elements. The children's well-being remained central in every decision, their adjustment monitored carefully as our families began blending. Allison eventually completed her court-mandated classes and counseling, earning unsupervised visitation rights. While our co-parenting relationship would never be easy, it gradually became functional. She maintained consistent weekend visits, genuinely working to rebuild her relationship with the twins. They approached her with cautious affection, their innocent hearts still open to her love despite past wounds. Life has a way of revealing important truths through painful experiences. My journey taught me that real love is not found in excitement or material wealth, but in daily choices to remain present, honest, and committed. Real love shows up when things are difficult. Real love puts children's needs above selfish desires. Real love builds rather than destroys. Today, our blended family creates new traditions while honoring the unique journey that brought us together. The twins now race through sprinklers in our backyard, alongside Sophia, their laughter healing old wounds. Rachel and I build our relationship on transparent communication and mutual support, knowing how precious this second chance truly is. I often wonder, what would you do if faced with such betrayal and manipulation? Has someone you trusted ever revealed themselves to be completely different than you believed? Share your stories in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe for more real-life experiences. Remember to share this video with someone who might need to hear that healing and happiness can follow even the deepest betrayals. Thank you for listening, and I wish you the courage to stand up for yourself when necessary and the wisdom to know when to let go.